For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And my big question for you folks: why are restaurants so expensive? That's the rant today. Oh, sit back. Get ready for this. Grab your food app and order while you're listening. It's coming up on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble. I've got some pet peeves about restaurants, and it's not even about the tipping thing anymore, truly. That I think I went on a couple rants about, we might have even done 2 or 3 shows about that in the past, where I think that it's actually almost the public consensus now, at least in North America, where people are putting their foot down and saying, why is it up to me to pay your staff? Like, I don't, that's not my job to pay your people. And just the idea of tipping is, you're rewarding an employee for doing their job. Again, not the customer's responsibility. So, there's the debate about, what percentage you should give, and especially during the pandemic, right? We heard about that too, where it's like, well, tip extra generously. And I hate it. I don't like that. And to me, because it feels so manipulative, when we're ordering food on an app, and again, these contract drivers or whoever they are, it's widely reported they're not paid very much, and all the tip goes to them. And even the fact that the app has to explain 100% of the tip, because there was that scandal, I don't remember who it was, if it was DoorDash or Uber, one of them, was skimming off of the tips, or at least that was reported that way. And the company had to sort of clarify, who gets the tip or what happens or whatever, or the service fees and things like that. So I don't like having to pay to be a customer. Meaning, I'll pay for the product, right, or the service, but I'm not paying for the privilege of being. That's why we'll never have a Costco membership in our house. We'll never have. We just don't do that. Even when it comes to the food apps, where you can pay $4.99 a month or whatever it is for lower fees. No, we'll wait until they offer it for free. Right? They'll give you that 2 months or 3 months or whatever, and that's something that we've done with Uber Eats. They offer 6 months. I think they offered 1 year free. This was going a ways back. And then I found that when you don't order then for a month, so we canceled the free thing, and then we don't order for a month, and like clockwork, it's like on the 30th day or the 31st day after you've canceled, they'll offer you another 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is. So if you just wait it out, because there's other delivery apps, well, then we'll just use DoorDash. Then we'll use, whatever next. And then you'll get that offer from Uber Eats again. So I won't pay $4.99 to be for the privilege of using her app, because you're already hitting me with a service fee. You're already hitting me with, all these things, with already inflated food prices as well. So, come on now, let's not be greedy. But let's get back to the restaurant thing though, because, when you're dining in a restaurant, again, there's that whole sort of like, let's go back to Uber Eats for a second. I was talking about manipulating the tip thing. They just flashed it on my screen. The "it's raining, tip generously" thing. Oh my God, I hate that. I hate it. Because, so how many people have to go to work in the rain? It happens probably somewhere every day in North America, right? You had to go to work in the rain on a rainy day, didn't you? Yeah. So I don't care that Uber Eats is going to tell me, well, tip generously, Sarah's in the rain bringing you your food. I'm like, she's not walking, she's driving in a fucking car. And so she's going to have to step out of her car for 30 seconds to bring it to my door and then go back in. But I have to tip her more for that? Is this danger pay? Why do I have to give Sarah more money because she's driving outside in water? Really? That's the manipulation. And so I realize that it's not Sarah's fault. It's not Sarah who's pushing that message on me. But there's a part of me that if I did want to be an unreasonable consumer, I would just go and say, yeah, 0 tip then. If that's what I'm going to write off the bat. Because I don't understand the whole idea of tipping before somebody even does anything anyway. Like, I've tipped before Sarah was even dispatched to this order. So I'm pre-thanking her for something she has not done yet. Wow. Make it easier. Flash up a reminder after my order, because you always get that, 10 minutes later or 15 minutes later, that auto message of, thanks for using Uber Eats, or how was your meal? Remember to rate it. Why don't you ask me about the tip then? Just like you would at any other time. Any other restaurant. When you go to the restaurant, they don't, before they seat you, they don't hand you select your tip before we even seat you. No, you do it after the fact. And it's because the server has, run off their feet and got you 17 different things. But at the same time, that's doing their job. So why am I having to compensate the person for doing the job? You're not my servant. You're not my assistant. You're not working for me. So to make it feel like I have to thank you for doing your job? No, that's not how it works. Not with me anyway. Not with me. So that whole tip generously because it's raining thing. Then there's been times where it's not even raining. So obviously Uber Eats is either just basing it on the Weather Channel or some kind of a forecast. Because I'll look outside and go, it's sunny. There's not a cloud. Like, where did they get that it's raining? I don't really know. So, so this company that is not even where I am is telling me what the weather is. And no, it's not. It's not. The forecast, believe it or not, can be wrong, folks. It can every once in a while. So now back to the restaurant thing. It's so expensive. And so you always hear about how, it's razor thin margins and you barely pay the staff anything. So it's clearly not that, right? We hear that in some places, serving staff is paid less than $5 an hour and it's basically tips that make up their entire pay or salary or wages or whatever word. So I'm just kind of like, but then why is everything so expensive? Drinks are notoriously expensive at a restaurant. You go, a glass of wine is $10. You know what? I'm better off either just staying home and having a $7 entire bottle of wine, right? It's not even a $9 bottle of wine. It's a $7 bottle of wine versus a $9 glass at a restaurant. Makes me also just want to go and take a flask and go, you know what, I'll just take a wine glass. I brought my own. Or I'll just have a flask. I'll be packing. But so, you look at the menu because I went for dinner with our producer Suzanne the other week. And we went to a restaurant, just an average. It was like I think it was a pub, wasn't it? She's not there. It was just, like fried food and things like that. And, they were playing Irish music and things. So we sat down and the appetizers or, whatever. And I had just like a regular chicken burger and it came with fries, whatever, fries or salad or whatever your options are. And I think that was it. So it was just the chicken sandwich or burger, whatever it was called, and then the fries. Yeah, so it wasn't even like it was a fast food meal where you get, burger, fries, and drink. It was just the sandwich or the chicken burger and the fries. And so, you look at the menu and go, that was $23. So you break that down and you think about it and go, okay, well, I probably had maybe one potato's worth of fries. So how much does one potato cost? I mean, you can get a 5 or 10 pound bag of potatoes for what, $3-4 sometimes when they're on sale. And then, the burger, okay, chicken breast, I guess, is, kind of expensive. One piece of lettuce. I don't get tomato, but one slice of tomato probably. A blob of ranch or whatever was on it. So, you look at the actual cost of that burger. The chicken obviously is probably the most expensive, right? Maybe you had 2 strips of bacon. But again, they're getting wholesale, bacon. They're not buying the tiny little package. They're getting the big case of bacon delivered. And so I'm going, this is $23 just for this. But again, I realize that there's overhead, right? I realize that it's not that you're just paying for the food. That also has to make up for. But then you look at the drink menu. This was the thing that just totally cheesed me, was the drinks were ranging. I think the cheapest one was $9, if I'm not mistaken. But I would have to. I didn't look at every single thing on there. But you're starting at $9 and up. So that would have been your basic cocktail. So let's say it was vodka and orange was $9, and then it seemed like the fancier the name, right? Then the more expensive it was. When you actually just look at the ingredients, you're kind of like, okay. And so, and it's not that because there's 4 different types of liquor. Well, that doesn't mean that your entire drink is 4 shots or whatever of liquor. You might just have a little tiny bit of this one for flavor or color or whatever it is. So I just look at that and go, God, the markup on this stuff, right? Because you can buy a bottle of vodka or whatever it is for, $20 or something. So the fact that I want a half a bottle of vodka in my drink, right? Do you know what I mean? Like when you break it down individually, you just look at that and go, wow, right? So the meal that we had, and she had, I can't remember what it was that she ate, but she had one drink. She was driving because I knew that I'd be drinking. I had 2 drinks. She had one drink and then I think like an iced tea or a lemonade or something after. And then she had whatever it was that she had. I don't know if it was soup or something. And the bill was $70-something for the 2 of us, just at a regular, kind of run-of-the-mill pub. So that's the $23 for my chicken. My drinks were $11 and $11 because I think I got 2 different ones. So that takes us really with tax or whatever up to $50 for mine. And then she had, as I said, her soup or whatever it was, and then the one alcoholic drink, and then she had coffee, I think it was. $70-something for 2 of us. Now, I'm not complaining that, I'm broke, I couldn't afford, I've got money, that's not the issue. But what I'm saying though is I don't want to hear restaurants talk about, razor thin margins, and I'm kind of like, really? Because if I were to figure out how many glasses, and the thing that drives me insane, especially when you order a glass of wine at a restaurant, is you give me this giant wine glass, and then you barely fill it halfway. If I'm ordering a 7-ounce, or I don't even know what they call it now, if it's a 7-ounce glass or whatever you call it, and then don't give me the giant glass. Give me a smaller wine glass so I don't feel. You would think about you order. Let's say you order a Pepsi, and they bring you a glass that's 3/4 full of Pepsi. You're gonna look at that and go, "Fill my fucking glass. I'm paying for the whole thing." Why don't we say that about a wine glass? Why is it okay for a wine glass, or when you order a beer, they don't give you the giant beer glass and then there's only half beer in it. The beer fills the entire glass. But wine, name me a restaurant. Send me a picture from a restaurant where your wine glass is literally full. Sure, when you go have wine at somebody's house, or when you pour one at home for yourself, it might be up to the top. But why at a restaurant do we accept a super high markup on a glass of wine and it's not even full? Like, I almost want to go and say, fill her up. Or give me a smaller glass, because I'm looking at this thinking, wow, yeah, it doesn't look elegant to me to have this giant thing and not have a full glass of wine. It just doesn't, it's not. Tell me you've noticed this and this bothers you people. Tell me. Send me an email. Live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. They would never hand you a half glass of Pepsi and charge, because I think they charge like $3 or $4 for a soft drink in a restaurant, even though it's mostly just, fizz and water. But if they brought you half, you would be getting that refilled all the time, right? That's why they fill it up, so they don't have to keep walking back and forth. But a wine glass, for some reason, yeah, it's not even half sometimes. It's not even half. Why? Because and you don't, yeah, I guess you do order a beer maybe by the ounce or whatever measurement of liquid. But I don't know. It's like, why? Yeah, wine is different. And then wine seems to have the biggest markup, I think. I don't work in a restaurant, so somebody tell me, if you work in a restaurant, tell me which is the most expensive, which one has the most markup. I just think about, well, I guess probably anything that has like vodka or something, right? Because if you think about the big bottle that you can get for $20-something, I mean, how many shots are in, right? How many shot glasses, a 1 ounce shot glass, how many shots are in an actual bottle? Probably a lot, right? 20, 30 maybe. So right there, you look at that and go, okay, right. So for the amount of vodka that's in this whatever drink that I just ordered, it's maybe one shot. So they're going to make 30 drinks out of this one bottle. Each drink is going to be at least $10. They're doing okay on the markup. They're doing okay on the markup. And same thing, like I said, with the chicken burger. When you break it down, their costs, it's actually cheaper for them to make you one in a restaurant because they're buying it wholesale and they're buying the big thing of cheese, the big package of bacon, the big bag of hamburger buns or whatever it is. So it's cheaper for them to make you a burger there than it is for me to make it at home, because if I've got to go and buy the $8 package of bacon, all these things, by that point, yeah, the burger costs me twice as much, 3 times as much at home. But that's the thing that drives me insane about restaurants. I just, so not only you're gonna overcharge me on a glass of wine that, again, I could easily have, just brought in my own and poured my own glass for much cheaper. Now I've got to pay your staff to do the job. It's so ridiculous. And then people wonder, if I worked in a restaurant, yeah, obviously, I'm going to work for tips or whatever it is, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it would be a different situation if I was actually in that position, but right now I'm telling myself, I wouldn't take it personally if the table didn't tip me because of all these things that I just ranted about, right? Why would I expect my customer to be the one paying me? I just wouldn't have that mindset. I don't have that mentality. That would be like me, being a writer. I mean, I've always had paid writing jobs from the time that I was, in my early 20s. But that would be like me, writing a blog or having a blog and then putting a donation link or something, like, oh, if you like what I wrote, tip me. Or if I was because I was in the newspaper for 20 years, but that would be like, yeah, me going and saying, if you liked my column, remember, show your appreciation of my writing. It's like, no, it's the fucking newspaper that pays me. Why would I expect the readers to fund my career? It's just, I don't know, it's just so strange. And then should I go on about tipping? Okay, we're gonna take a break and I'll continue my rant about tipping right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched and who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. So, my rant started about restaurants, which, of course, tipping is the big debate nowadays. And it has been actually for quite some time. But I don't understand why I have to pay an employee. Now, another situation where you tip is, you're getting your hair done, or you get, your nails done, or you have a massage, or even if it's just maybe somebody who comes and does yard work or something for you, sometimes there's that expectation. There's that question of, okay, when I go to a hair salon, I tip there. But what if the person is working on their own? What if they, operate out of their house, so they come to you and do your hair at your place, or you go to their thing in their basement and they've got a chair and they cut your hair there? do you tip then? Because they've come up with their rates. They've come up with that, right? They don't have an employer or a business taking a cut of it, or, they're not relying on somebody else taking, money. Yeah, maybe they've got business expenses or whatever, but at the same time, right? So this has come up where I know one of my cousins, she goes to she goes to the woman used to work in a salon, and then I guess kind of now does it just on her own in her house. So I was having this discussion with my cousin, and I said, well, so do you still tip then? She's like, yeah, of course I do. And I said, but why though? So is she charging you less than what it would be in the salon? She said, yeah. And I said, okay. And so she tips because that's going to make up for, right? Because if you're tipping, again, women's hair is completely different than how, guys are. But she's saying that I tip because she's not getting as much, because the bill would be more at the salon, so then the tip would have been on a percentage of whatever the cost was. So now, because she's doing it from her house, she's charging less, right? So your tip would also be less. So my cousin feels compelled, which I told her not to, my cousin feels compelled to tip more to kind of bring it up. And so then I said, well, but balance it out this way. She's not having somebody else take the cut. So get it, cut. She's not having an employer or the owner of the business or whatever, coming on her, right, taking a cut or taking her share of a customer. So, the person is still doing the same work. And again, you can say that for other things. People who do massage. I know my cousin's wife, she worked in a spa, works in a spa, but then on, weekends or days off or whatever, she's like, well, my cousin and his wife have a spare bedroom in their house. She's got a table or whatever, or she can go and she'll do it for, friends or family or whoever, or, former colleagues or, whatever. And she does it. And that's just, she's doing it something on the side. That's your profit then. So if she's charging $80 or $100 or whatever, I would sit there and go, why am I tipping you on top of that? I mean, it's still $100 for this massage. It's different if it's $100 that I'm paying to the spa and you're making, I don't know what a massage person gets, $30, $40 an hour, maybe even only just 20. And then that's where you get that $20 tip or whatever it might be. And so now they are bumped that up to $40, $50 an hour because of the tip and their wage. But I'm looking at that going, I'm sorry, you're making more doing this out of your house. Why am I going to tip you on top of $100? I mean, why? So it's not that I don't appreciate the service. I'm not saying that at all. It's not me being a dick. I'm just looking at mathematically going, yeah, you're actually making more doing this on your own. So why should I then go and tip you more because you're doing it on your own? This is actually a better deal for you because you're not having to cut somebody else in on it, right? I mean, I don't know. That's just how I think about it. So tell me what you think about that. Tell me your thoughts. Live, Live, at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. Do you tip a person who's they're a contractor? They've made the rates themselves. So do you tip somebody like that in that situation? Have you thought about it? I don't know. Maybe this is me. Maybe I'm just unreasonable. Maybe I'm just a jerk. Maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe I'm a cheapskate. I don't know what it is. But it's something to think about. Because for all those people who complain about how everything is so expensive and how, money doesn't go as far, well, are you paying $10 a month to be able for the privilege of ordering food? Are you tipping because somebody drove their vehicle 3 blocks to bring you a bag of greasy food? Are you going to a restaurant and paying $13, $14, $15, $21 for a drink that really is mostly ice anyway? I mean, let's kind of break this down, people. Let's look at why it's costing a lot. That glass of wine did not have to cost you $11. It didn't. Or $15 or $16. It did not have to cost you that much. So it's nice to have a night out and, spend some time with your friend or, loved one or whatever it is. But I mean, I looked at that and I knew the cost of the drink. I knew the cost of my chicken burger. And, whatever Suzanne was ordering. But there's still that kind of like sticker shock when you get the bill after. And I go, oh my God. I mean, whatever, $70. I've made that just, talking during the segment, right? So that's not a big deal. But I was like, holy shit. I can only imagine, a family of, 4, like 2 parents and 2 kids, going to a restaurant. I mean, kids don't, a kid's meal is sort of cheaper. But I mean, even if you have a 10-year-old or, they're probably going to have a regular meal. And, like, geez. Eek. I don't know. Yeah. Now, I can say this because my husband and I don't cook. We really have no interest. So we dine out, quite regularly. But that's where I'm kind of like, wow, it's really, I mean, and he pays anyway. I don't look at the bill. I don't know what it costs. But yeah, because we just like spending time together and we go out for the experience. That's why we go. But I would not, if I was in a different situation, if I wasn't, if I wasn't well off, if we didn't have a lot of money, yeah, I mean, I'd be sitting there going, my God, I have a lot of money. And even I looked at that $70 bill going, holy jeez, I almost wanted to bring out a calculator and go, hold on a second, there's got to be something wrong with this. Have you ever done that? Have you? Oh, and then tipping on tax or whatever another thing that they do, right, is you might even have those predetermined values already, programmed in, and then you look at that and go, wait a second, why are you adding the total of the bill? Like, you look at the subtotal, by the way, folks. You look at the subtotal and you tip on that. If you're going to be tipping, you look at the subtotal of that $70 bill and see. Because if the bill was only $61, why are you tipping on $71 after taxes? No, don't do it. Don't do it, folks. And same thing when they go and ask you if you want to make a donation. Did you want to round up your bill? Do you want to add another $1? You know what's happening, though? Is that restaurant's getting the credit for that charitable donation. Yeah, maybe I'm being a cheapskate on $1. But you know what? They're getting the tax deduction. They're getting the credit. They're issuing the press release going, we donated $50,000 to the children's hospital. No, your customers did. Don't even fucking lie. That's where I have an issue. I'm all about charity. That's fine if you want to give to charity. But you're not going to go and take credit as a PR thing that we donated to the Teddy Bears Hospital Fund or whatever you want to call it. No. Yeah, no, that's because you guilted us, right? You always have you see that at retail stores, right, at the cashier. They'll hold up the little thing that you can write your name on the hot air balloon. Did you want to donate $1 to the children's hospital? No, I've already overpaid for this crap that I'm buying in your store. Like, what else do you want? What else do you want? You donate the $1. You're the big multi-million-dollar company. Why do I have to put $1? Like, geez. Like, when does it stop, right? Everybody's wanting a cut of the money. Everybody's wanting more. All these little fees add up over time. They really do. And that's where consumers are getting fed up. That's why there are shows like Customer Wars on A&E, where you have the people just fucking losing it. Just losing it. I wonder if that would change. Do you think it would change if, companies just eased up a little bit and stopped nickel and diming and stopped gouging and stopped, doing all that kind of crap? Airlines might have a better time than what we see happening in airplanes now. I mean, what is it, like probably every other week on TMZ you're seeing somebody having a flip out on an airplane, about whatever it is, because you're sardine canned in there and everybody's just wedged in and grumpy and sweaty and, now you got to, pay for this, pay for that, pay for that. You want more leg room? Pay for it. You want, a microwaved dinner? Pay for it. You want to bring a bag? Pay for it. Fuck you. You pay for this, you fucking... Like, seriously, you greedy fuckers. I mean, come on. Like, how... At some point, that's when people just go and say, no, not doing it. Not doing it. But, of course, it's going to be... people are still going to have to travel places, whether it's, for work or, for whatever reason. It's unavoidable in some instances, right? But that's where you find now everybody's going to be cramming things into those overhead bins because you're allowed one carry-on, and now there's no more room in the bins anymore. So they're going to check your bag anyway. You're just not going to have to pay for it. So it's kind of like, well, that's not really fair then. So the people who actually did pay to check their bag voluntarily at the beginning... And now it's like, well, now you're boarding, you don't have room, so it's like, well, we'll check your bag. Oh, so I don't have to pay the $40 like everybody else did? No, we're full. So, oh, okay. Maybe that's the better way to do it then. I don't know. So, anyway, lots I've covered on the show today. So, again, live, Live, at jbonair.com. I want to hear your thoughts. Live at jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. We're out of time, but in our final remaining moments, I don't know, it's crazy how the world has changed and just the cost of things. Let me give you an example, because when I was in high school, I would walk home from school and I would stop at a place called Robin's Donuts. I think there are still some in Winnipeg. I haven't seen them in a while, but it's a donut shop, basically. And so I would stop in there and I would buy a dozen donuts. I always liked the vanilla with sprinkles on it, or the maple. Canadians, right? Maple. And so it was $4.95 for a dozen donuts back then. And that would last me for a week. I would 6 days. I would eat them 2 at a time. So, and I was, like I said, I was in high school, so I was already 16 or 17 years old. Not super addicted to sugar, but it was just kind of like, whatever, it's just filling enough for me. And I was one of those people that needed kind of a sugar jolt in the morning, right? Any of you who have, coffee, iced coffee or whatever it is, you have that sugar blast. So that's what the donuts would last me 6 days. I remember getting a nickel back. That was always my change. I'd go there with a $5 bill, and it was, now, I don't have donuts unless somebody brings them in or whatever, so I haven't bought donuts myself in a long time. It's more than $1 for one donut. Or if you get some of those like fancy artsy fartsy ones, it's like $4 for a fucking donut. And I sit there and go, so a dozen donuts is going to be $50? $60? And that's what people are like, yeah, that's the price of them. And I just think, oh my. So just to sum up this whole rant about restaurants, this is why I believe a lot of them just don't make it after, I don't remember what the statistic is. It might even be for businesses in general, not necessarily restaurants, but they don't survive after a year, or they don't survive, and I sit there and go, well, yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, unless you're an established name that you have that reputation of making top of the line, premier donuts, then yeah, no, it doesn't. I don't know. I'm just trying to think, you go in Canada, Tim Hortons is the big, coffee chain, and maybe they can charge a lot more because of their name or whatever it is. And I mean, I've had their donuts before, and I mean, they're okay, but I would not pay. I mean, if you're going to be looking at, so if they're $1 something for a dozen, so you're probably rounding up to about $15 or something dollars. Maybe it is cheaper if you get that many. I don't know. I haven't bought them, but yeah, I would just look at that and go, yeah, I mean, I like them, but no. Yeah. That's where I'll wait until somebody brings them in, and then I'll take one, and then I'll look and I'll walk by again and I'll take 2. That's the beauty of working in an office where you don't have more than 12 people, so you probably can get 2 per person, depending on the day, if everybody not everybody's around. Anyway, so send me your thoughts again live at jbonnair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real